High Counselor Thulax tapped his ceremonial staff against the polished rhodium floor of the grand chamber. The sound reverberated through the massive hall, silencing the murmurs of the 217 species representatives. Above them, the holographic displays showed Earth, a small blue-green marble, suspended in darkness. The motion to dismiss Species 7291A, designation humans, from the Galactic Council stands approved, Thulax announced, his 6 eyes blinking in their traditional sequence of formality. With 183 votes for dismissal, 31 against, and 3 abstentions. Ambassador Morland Kestrel, the sole human representative, stood rigidly at the podium. His weathered face betrayed no emotion, though the slight tremor in his hand as he gathered his notes was noted by several empathic species in attendance. "May I address the council one final time?" Kestrel asked, his voice steady despite the historic rejection he had just witnessed. Thulax exchanged glances with Vice Chancellor Priavesk, whose crystalline form shimmered with reluctant acquiescence. "Proceed, Ambassador. Though I remind you that the Council's decision is binding." Kestrel nodded, gray eyes sweeping across the chamber. "For 3 centuries, humanity has been part of this Council. We've contributed technology, art, philosophy, and warfare," interrupted Representative Zosh of the Luraxi sphere, his tentacles writhing in agitation. "Your species has repeatedly violated Statute 5819 regarding military development. The Epsilon incident alone was a defense against Morgathian aggression," Kestrel countered. "Aggression this Council refused to acknowledge." Counselor Thulax struck his staff again. "This debate has been exhausted through 9 solar cycles of deliberation, Ambassador. The dismissal stands on multiple grounds: unauthorized technological advancement, refusal to submit to population control measures, unauthorized colonial expansion, and most critically, failure to integrate your species' individualistic tendencies with the Greater Harmony Doctrine." Kestrel's eyes hardened. "So be it. Earth formally acknowledges its dismissal from the Galactic Council." He reached into his pocket and withdrew a small device that pulsed with blue light. The chamber's security drones immediately activated, targeting systems locked on the ambassador. "This isn't a weapon," Kestrel said calmly. "It's a communicator." Vice Chancellor Priavesk's crystalline structure darkened with concern. "Ambassador, all communications must go through." "Those protocols no longer apply to us, Counselor." Kestrel pressed the device. "Command: Initiate protocol exodus." The chamber erupted in confusion as every monitoring system suddenly went offline. The massive observation screens that had shown Earth now displayed only static. "What is the meaning of this?" Thulax demanded. Kestrel smiled for the first time. "You've dismissed us from your council, but you've forgotten something fundamental about humans, High Counselor." "And what is that?" Thulax asked, genuine curiosity breaking through his indignation. "We've been preparing for this day for over a century," Kestrel replied. "You see, we never needed your approval, only your technology and knowledge. While you deliberated our worthiness these past decades, we've been innovating." The screens flickered back to life, but Earth was gone from its orbital position. "Impossible," gasped Uthrax, the Astronomy Guild representative. "No planetary transportation technology exists that could." "None that the Council possesses," Kestrel corrected. "As of this moment, Earth and all human colonies have severed connections with galactic standard spacetime. We've relocated to coordinates beyond your detection capabilities." He placed his Council identification badge on the podium, its glow fading as he severed the final connection. "Goodbye, Counselors. The next time we meet, it will be on equal terms, or perhaps not so equal after all." With that, Ambassador Kestrel's form shimmered and vanished, leaving the stunned Council to face the implications of what they had just done and what humanity had just become. 3 solar cycles passed after Earth's disappearance, and the Galactic Council found itself in unprecedented crisis. "Another market collapse," announced Economic Director Valzine, her feathery appendages trembling as she manipulated the financial projections. Human banking institutions controlled 17% of interstellar commerce. Their simultaneous withdrawal has triggered failures across 6 major sectors. High Counselor Thalax massaged his temple ridges, a gesture he'd ironically adopted from humans. The Collective Banking Authority was supposed to stabilize the situation. They can't, Valzine replied. Humans were the primary innovators in quantum financial algorithms. Without them, the systems are decaying. Around the emergency council table, representatives from the most powerful species in the galaxy shifted uncomfortably. The Druasi Trade Minister, Falcomber, cleared his throat, a wet, bubbling sound. It's worse than finances, he said. 93 critical supply chains have collapsed. Human mining colonies provided 80% of the galaxy's neodymium ore. Without it, warp core production has halted completely. Vice Chancellor Priavesk's crystalline form had dulled considerably over the past cycles. And their cultural contributions. The unified media networks report subscriptions falling by billions daily. Apparently, many species primarily consumed human entertainment. This is temporary disruption, insisted Counselor Zosh. The humans were clever, but replaceable. We've governed for eons before they evolved beyond crude tools. The chamber doors slid open, admitting a harried-looking Tashik scientist. Commander Drix Valerian wore the insignia of the Galactic Science Authority, though his typically immaculate uniform was wrinkled and stained. Counselors, he said without preamble, we have a fundamental problem. Thalax gestured for him to approach. Report, Commander. We've been analyzing the space-time distortion that occurred during Earth's departure. Valerian activated a holographic display showing complex equations. What the humans did should have been impossible. They didn't just move a planet, they shifted an entire stellar system out of our dimensional plane without creating a catastrophic gravity well. The scientific jargon silenced even the most vocal critics of humanity. Valerian continued, furthermore, we've detected identical distortion signatures at 37 locations throughout the galaxy. Human colonies, whispered Priavesk. Yes, Valerian confirmed. But also something else. Several non-human worlds have gone missing as well. The chamber erupted in alarmed voices. Silence, commanded Thalax. Which worlds? Primarily those with significant human immigration or cultural exchange programs. Lyteria, New Cascadia, the fringe worlds of the Orion Spur. Valerian swallowed hard. And Zelbulan Prime. Vice Chancellor Priavesk's crystalline form cracked slightly in shock. Zelbulan? But they were founding members of the Council. Their parliamentary leader issued a brief statement before disappearance, Valerian said. They've formally aligned with something called the Human Accord, a new interspecies alliance operating outside Council jurisdiction. From the end of the table, Ambassador Treslin of the Moldovan Reach stood. Unlike most Council species who had voted for humanity's dismissal, the Moldovians had advocated for human inclusion. I've been authorized to deliver this message, she said, her voice carrying an unusual weight. As of the next cycle, the Moldovan Reach will be withdrawing from the Galactic Council to pursue independent relations with the Human Accord. Thalax rose from his seat. This is sedition. The Council Charter forbids. The Council Charter means nothing to those who leave, High Counselor, Treslin replied calmly. Just as it means nothing to humanity now. We've always understood what you failed to grasp. Humans don't think like the rest of us. They don't accept limitations, they overcome them. And now they've overcome you. As she turned to leave, Ambassador Treslin paused at the door. One more thing, Ambassador Kestrel sends his regards. He says your invitation to meet with the Human Accord remains open, should you reconsider your position. Fleet Admiral Oryx Tavalin stood on the command deck of the Galactic Council's flagship, the Indomitable Purpose, staring at the sensor readings with disbelief. After 8 months of searching the known universe for traces of Earth and its vanished colonies, they had finally detected an anomalous energy signature in the uncharted regions beyond the Perseus Void. Confirm analysis, he ordered, mandibles clicking with tension. His science officer, Lyria Nexum, adjusted her ocular implants. Unlike most Vexeri, who had abandoned biological components centuries ago, Lyria maintained an organic brain, a decision that made her both brilliant and suspect among her kind. "Confirmed, Admiral," she replied. "The energy pattern matches the quantum ripple effect recorded during Earth's disappearance. But it's magnified by a factor of 1,000. Whatever they built out here, it's unprecedented." The viewing screen shifted to show what appeared to be empty space, but the sensor overlay revealed something else entirely. A massive distortion field spanning several light years. "Can we penetrate it?" Tavalin asked. "Negative, sir. But we're detecting communications traffic on frequencies we've never encountered before. It's like they've developed an entirely new form of subspace technology." Lieutenant Commander Braxis, a towering Gordian with skin like polished obsidian, approached with a data tablet. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission addressed specifically to you." "Source?" "Unknown, sir, but it's using your personal authentication codes that only the Council High Command should possess." Tavalin's exoskeleton tightened reflexively. On screen, the bridge view screen flickered, and the face of former human ambassador Kestrel appeared. But he was changed. His previously gray hair now held streaks of vibrant blue, and his eyes glowed with subtle luminescence that suggested extensive bioaugmentation. "Admiral Tavalin," Kestrel greeted warmly. "I see the Council finally found us. Or, rather, you found what we wanted you to find." Tavalin maintained his composure. "Ambassador Kestrel, by order of the Galactic Council, I demand—" "You're not in a position to demand anything, Admiral," Kestrel interrupted, his tone friendly but firm. "But since you've come all this way, we're extending an invitation. You, and only you, may bring your ship through the quantum barrier. Coordinates are being transmitted now." Before Tavalin could respond, Kestrel added, "And Admiral, what you're about to see will change everything you think you know about the universe. Choose wisely." The transmission ended abruptly. "Sir," Braxis ventured, "Council protocols strictly forbid." "I'm well aware of protocols, Commander," Tavalin cut in. "But we've spent 8 months searching, and the Council is facing imminent collapse without human resources and technology." After a moment of deliberation, he made his decision. "Helm, set course for the transmitted coordinates. Maximum caution." The indomitable purpose approached the quantum barrier, which shimmered like oil on water as they drew near. As they penetrated the field, the ship's systems fluctuated wildly before stabilizing. When they emerged on the other side, every officer on the bridge fell silent in awe. Before them stretched a vast artificial structure, a Dyson sphere under construction around a blue giant star. But unlike traditional Dyson sphere concepts, this one consisted of interconnected habitats, each the size of a small moon. Ships of unknown design moved between them, some larger than the largest Council dreadnoughts. "By the ancestral light," whispered Lyria, "they've accomplished in months what would take the Council millennia." A smaller vessel approached, docking with the indomitable purpose. Minutes later, Ambassador Kestrel stepped onto the bridge, accompanied by 2 beings Admiral Tavalin didn't recognize. One appeared to be a silicon-based life form, the other a species unknown to Council records. "Welcome, Admiral," Kestrel said, "to Nexus Humanity, the first outpost of the human accord." "What is this place?" Tavalin asked, unable to hide his astonishment. "This," Kestrel replied with evident pride, "is what happens when you free humanity from bureaucratic constraints. We've created something that will redefine civilization itself, a true post-scarcity society where biological and technological evolution occur in harmony." He gestured to his companions. "Allow me to introduce Sovereign Kir Zelban of the former Zelbulan Empire, and Ambassador Maverus of the Silvari Conclave, a species we encountered after leaving Council space. One of 17 newly contacted civilizations that have joined the Accord." Tavalin struggled to process the implications. 17 new species? That's impossible. The Council's exploration fleet has charted every habitable region within 3 galactic quadrants. Kestrel smiled knowingly. "The Council explores space, Admiral. We've learned to explore dimensions." Admiral Tavalin moved through the sprawling complex of Nexus Humanity with Ambassador Kestrel at his side. Each step revealed technologies and concepts that defied Council understanding. Gravity manipulation beyond theoretical limits. Matter-energy conversion without quantum degradation. Beings of pure consciousness inhabiting synthetic forms. This shouldn't be possible, Tavalin muttered as they observed a habitat being constructed in real time by nanite swarms that seemed to bend physical laws. The Council's greatest minds determined these technologies would take centuries to develop, if they were possible at all. Kestrel's enhanced eyes flickered with amusement. The Council's greatest mistake was assuming its collective wisdom exceeded humanity's potential. We didn't just take our planets. When we left, we took our imagination. They entered a vast chamber where holographic displays showed countless star systems, many unfamiliar to Tavalin's extensive astronomical knowledge. This is the cartography nexus, explained Kestrel. We're currently mapping 17 parallel dimensional planes, each with its own universal constants and evolutionary paths. A tall, willowy being approached, clearly not human, with iridescent skin that shifted colors with each movement. Ambassador, the Praxian delegation has arrived for the technology exchange. Thank you, Director Ilendrex. Kestrel turned to Tavalin. The Praxians evolved in a dimension where light moves at half the speed a dozen hours. Their understanding of quantum entanglement has revolutionized our communication systems. Tavalin's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation among his species. The Council expressly forbade research into parallel dimensions after the cataclysm of Antares. A prohibition based on fear, not wisdom, Kestrel replied. We've developed safeguards the Council never considered. They continued their tour, passing laboratories where humans worked alongside dozens of unknown species. In one chamber, beings of pure energy conducted what appeared to be complex calculations within living crystal matrices. The HFY, Kestrel explained, noticing Tavalin's fascination. Energy beings we encountered in the seventh dimensional plane. They've helped us resolve the unified field theory your scientists have struggled with for millennia. Tavalin, stop walking. Why show me this? You must know I'll report everything to the Council. That's precisely why we invited you, Kestrel said, his expression growing serious. The Council needs to understand what they've lost and what's coming. They entered a final chamber, smaller than the others, but somehow more imposing. A circular table dominated the center, around which sat representatives of at least 20 different species. At their head was a human woman Tavalin didn't recognize, her presence commanding despite her species' relatively unimpressive physical attributes. Admiral Tavalin, Kestrel announced, may I present High Commander Evren Demirci of the Human Accord Defense Fleet. Demirci rose, evaluating the Admiral with eyes that seemed to perceive more than they should. Admiral, your reputation precedes you. I understand you were one of the few who voted against Earth's dismissal. I believed it tactically unwise, Tavalin acknowledged, though I never imagined this. Few did, she replied. Please be seated. What we're about to discuss concerns the survival of all intelligent life, including those still under Council protection. As Tavalin took his seat, holographic displays activated, showing a massive object moving through deep space, a construct of some kind, utterly alien in design. 3 months ago, Commander Demirci explained, our dimensional explorers encountered evidence of a civilization far more advanced than any we've known. They call themselves the Precursors. They've been observing our galaxy for millennia, waiting. Waiting for what? Tavalin asked, a sense of dread building within him. For a species to pass their test, replied one of the alien representatives, a massive being with a crystalline exoskeleton. They seed galaxies with potential, then return to harvest those who advance sufficiently. Those who fail are repurposed. Commander Demirci's expression hardened. According to the data we've gathered, they judge civilizations by their ability to transcend biological limitations and dimensional boundaries, precisely what the Council has forbidden for 12,000 years. Tavalin's exoskeleton grew cold. And they're coming here? To our galaxy. They're already here, Kestrel said quietly. The dimensional disturbances we created when leaving Council space attracted their attention. We've detected their scout ships on the rim of the Sagittarius Arm. Their main fleet will arrive within 2 standard years. The implications crashed over Tabalin like a tidal wave. The Council has no defense against something like this. No, agreed Commander Demirci. But the human Accord might. We're developing technologies specifically designed to counter precursor capabilities. She leaned forward, her gaze intense. Admiral, we need you to deliver a message to the Council. Not as a demand or ultimatum, but as an offer. Join us. Bring your species into the Accord. Help us defend not just one galaxy or dimension, but all of them. And if they refuse? Tabalin asked, already suspecting the answer. Kestrel's enhanced eyes dimmed slightly. Then we will still fight to protect them, because that's what humans do. But we can't guarantee victory without unity. Commander Demirci placed a small device on the table. This contains everything you've seen here, plus our defensive plans and the location of 7-dimensional gateways we've established near Council space. The choice of what to do with this information is yours, Admiral. Tabalin looked around the table at the gathered representatives, beings from across dimensions and evolutionary paths, united by something the Council had never truly understood, a shared vision of the future. I'll deliver your message, he said finally, though I doubt the Council will believe it. They don't need to believe, Kestrel replied. They just need to survive long enough to see the truth. The Galactic Council Chamber, once the proud center of intergalactic governance, now stood half empty. In the 8 standard months since Earth's departure, 34 member species had withdrawn to join the Human Accord. The magnificent hall, designed to accommodate representatives from over 200 worlds, now echoed with absence. High Counselor Thulax called the emergency session to order, his once authoritative voice now strained with fatigue. We will hear Admiral Tabalin's report. The Admiral approached the central podium, flanked by his senior officers. His normally immaculate exoskeleton was dulled with stress. Counselors, he began, what I am about to present will challenge fundamental Council doctrine. I have personally verified all information and stake my ancestral honor on its validity. For the next hour, Tabalin detailed everything he had witnessed in the Human Accord's dimensional nexus. The assembled representatives listened with increasing disbelief as he described technologies that violated Council prohibitions, species unknown to their most comprehensive databases, and most disturbing of all, the approaching precursor threat. When he finished, the chamber remained silent for several moments before erupting into chaos. Absurd propaganda, shouted Representative Zosh. The humans have clearly manipulated the Admiral's perceptions. My neural shielding was fully operational, Tabalin countered, and I brought back physical evidence. He gestured to Lyrian Exum, who activated a device salvaged from the Accord. A 3-dimensional star map materialized above the chamber floor, showing astronomical data far more detailed than anything in Council records. Vice Chancellor Prievesk's crystalline form pulsed with agitation. Even if we accept this information as accurate, the Council cannot simply abandon 12 millennia of doctrine. Dimensional exploration was prohibited after billions died in the Antares catastrophe. The humans have found ways to stabilize dimensional boundaries, Tabalin replied. Their methods bear no resemblance to our failed attempts. And we're to trust them, demanded Counselor Rathix of the Vorlon hegemony. The same species that deceived us for centuries while developing forbidden technologies. Admiral Tabalin's mandibles clicked once, a gesture of profound certainty among his kind. I believe we have no choice. The precursor threat is real, and the Council cannot face it alone. High Counselor Thulax stood, his ancient form seeming smaller than it had months before. We have heard enough. The Council will deliberate in private. Admiral, you are dismissed. 3 days later, as Admiral Tabalin prepared his ship for departure from Council space, he received an unexpected visitor. High Counselor Thulax himself, unaccompanied by his usual ceremonial guards. The Council has voted, Thulax announced without preamble, his multiple eyes fixed on the Admiral. And Tabalin prompted when the High Counselor fell silent. 108 votes to maintain our isolation, 75 to seek alliance with the human accord. Tavalon's exoskeleton tightened in disappointment. Then the council chooses extinction. The council has chosen, Thalax corrected, but I have not spoken my decision as High Counselor. He produced a small data crystal from his ceremonial robes. This contains the access codes to all council defense systems, research facilities, and secured archives. I am entrusting them to you. Tavalon stared in shock. This is treason against your own decision. No, Thalax replied, his voice suddenly sounding every one of his 900 years. This is the wisdom I should have shown when Earth first petitioned for technological freedom. My pride cost us humanity. I will not let it cost us everything else. He placed the crystal in Tavalon's grasp. I cannot officially change the Council's vote, but I can ensure that when the precursors come, the human accord will have every advantage we can provide. And what of you? Tavalon asked. I will remain, Thalax said simply. Someone must guide those who stay, and perhaps prepare them for what comes after. One standard month later, Admiral Oryx Tavalon stood on the command deck of what had once been the Galactic Council flagship Indomitable Purpose. The vessel had been rechristened Alliance, its systems upgraded with Accord technology beyond anything the Council had ever developed. Beside him stood Commander Evren Demirci, Ambassador Morland Kestrel, and representatives from 27 former Council worlds who had chosen to follow Tavalon's example. The dimensional gateway is stable, reported Science Officer Lyria, who had also defected to the Accord. Transit to Nexus Humanity will commence on your order. On the view screen, thousands of ships, Council designs intermixed with human vessels and exotic craft from newly discovered dimensions, assembled into formation. The first wave of precursor scouts has breached the outer rim defenses, Kestrel noted. We have perhaps 6 months before their main fleet arrives. Commander Demirci turned to Tavalon. With your people's defensive technologies and our dimensional capabilities, we stand a fighting chance. But only if we act as one. Tavalon gazed at the fleet, the largest assembly of diverse species ever recorded in the history of the galaxy. Not under Council authority, but united by something more powerful, a shared future. Signal the fleet, he ordered. We transit together. As the massive gateway pulsed with energy, preparing to transport the Armada across dimensional boundaries, Tavalon reflected on the irony. The Council had dismissed humanity for refusing to accept limitations, for pushing boundaries, for valuing innovation over tradition. And in doing so, they had unleashed the very force that might now save them all. The Alliance led the fleet into the swirling dimensional portal, not as conquerors or refugees, but as equals in the face of an existential threat. Behind them, the stars of their home dimension shimmered one last time before the gateway closed. Ahead lay uncertainty, danger, and war against an ancient power that had culled countless civilizations. But also, for the first time in millennia, something the Galactic Council had forgotten how to provide. Hope. The universe would never be the same. And perhaps, Tavalon thought, as the dimensional boundary enveloped his ship, that was exactly what the universe needed.